Hey, what's up everybody? Rob Marzullo here, Ram Studio Comics, and this video is going to be traditional versus digital. Is digital right for you? And things to expect when you make the transition. So, on the left here, if you can't tell, I've got a traditional drawing. This was done in 2012, so a couple years back now, of my character Blackstone Eternal, which you can find on Indie Planet if you'd like a copy of the book and future copies that are coming out. So, this is traditional. This is me drawing on Bristol board. This is an all-day pinup, that I spent lots of time on, and full day worth of drawing basically. Okay, and then over to the right, we have a digital, which is penciled, inked, and everything, probably in about 2, maybe 3 hours. So, and this one right here to the right was done probably about a month ago or a couple weeks ago or something. So, the time, the ability to, you know, make it a lot more time effective was why I went digital. And I'll tell it didn't happen overnight. Like I had to learn how to use the digital tools. I started with an Intuos series. I'm also going to do another video that's going to talk to you about the Intuos 5 versus the Cintiq model. I use the Cintiq model for my comic book illustration, but I was able to make the jump with the Intuos. But some of the things to think about when doing this is that, you do have to make the transition. So initially, this was, my art style a couple years back. Um, that's a digital painting. I just want to show you a couple different styles here also. Okay, so this is a couple panels from book 2 of the Blackstone Eternal comic. And, they're two totally different characters, obviously, but hopefully you can see that the art style is somewhere in the ballpark. It's still about the same. And then by the time I ink it, I think it actually, steps up a notch. So, the thing is getting the feel to where, it feels natural to make that jump. To be able to get, I like doing a lot of cross hatching and line work in my stuff. So, I had to get that comfort level back, where over here it was like second nature because I had already been drawn on traditional methods for so long. So there is going to be that transition time for you to feel comfortable with the new tools at hand. I would say for me, it was anywhere from 2 months before I could even start drawing on it. So I think that took me a little bit longer than probably most, but then about a year or two before I felt really comfortable with it. And then by the time I got the Cintiq, it's pretty much a no-brainer because it's like drawing on paper anyways. Um, so that's part of the transitional part. Now, the other part that I want to talk about is pros and cons. Like the traditional, obviously you end up with an original to sell, which is great. Overall better quality, I would say, a little bit more control. It's going to, over time you're going to get that with the digital, but initially overall better control. Um, there's also a respect issue that comes with drawing traditionally. People seem to respect it more, especially traditional artists that, are more in that field. They kind of frown upon digital, it seems like, but, whatever. That's like, you know, not wanting to get with the times and not wanting to accept, technology in the future and things like that. You give it 20 more years, people probably aren't going to draw traditional. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's probably the way it's going to be, especially when the time constraints are going to go way, way up for drawing traditionally. So they're going to lose jobs and profit and, whatever. That's a whole other ball game. But so respect is a little bit greater with the traditional methods. Cheaper initial costs. I mean, you're drawing on paper. Don't get me wrong, Bristol board's expensive, but you can draw on some cheap paper and cheap pencils, and cheaper overall initial cost. Now, long-term cost, I think that the digital is actually a greater savings, especially when it comes to time. And let's face it, folks. Time is the most valuable thing that you have. It's the one thing you don't get any more of. So if you can save time, you're, i.e., you're saving money. So it's just the way it works. So um, here's another traditional page a few years back because I made the jump about then, and so the other aspect of this too is I had to scan this page. I had to lose a little bit of quality, not much. I got a pretty good scanner, but there's that time involved in scanning it. Uh, you got these smudges and things, which are cool for seeing the work and looking at back at it. But for flowing through the artwork, you want little or none of that. You definitely scanning sucks. I never liked scanning other than the first time I did it. I thought it was amazing. But then after that wore off, I'm like, this sucks to have to scan every page and bond them together and stuff like that. So You don't have to do that with digital, so that's another time saver. Um, the other thing with digital, it's easier to collaborate with other artists. So that's a big one. Like I do storyboards for commercials and things like that. It's almost all digital for that, and the reason being is it's so quick. I can draw things, send it to my clients. They can respond back. I can make changes on the fly, move an arm, add a tentacle, whatever you're drawing. It's streamlined. It's quick. So collaborations are way better. You can work with other artists a lot easier. Um, not that you can't traditionally by any means, but with digital it's a little bit faster, so that's good. What else? All files are backed up immediately with digital, which is great. As you're going, you're saving them, and if you're smart, which hopefully you are, you're saving not only to your system but also to another time capsule or backup device of some kind, because the one could go out on you. Um, you got to have a backup for your backup, basically. And so that's the good thing, is as you're working, and I live by this rule: save and save often. As you're working, constantly be saving. Another good tip for you is work off a laptop. Get yourself a strong laptop and use that as your main device. And people are probably, why, man, desktops are so much stronger. Here's the great thing about a laptop: it's always plugged in, and if your power goes out, guess what? If you got a good laptop battery, you can keep working for another 8 hours. If you got to meet a deadline, that's a pretty big deal. So I would definitely think about making your strongest system some form of laptop or really good battery backup device, whatever. So that's another subject, but it's easier to edit the art, like I just talked about, make changes. There would have been a time drawn traditionally, like if this panel wasn't working out really well, I just kind of crumble the paper and throw it to the side. I don't do that with digital. Like, I just work through it every time now. So if his arm's wrong, guess what? I just start moving it, grabbing it, adjusting it. I move the arm. I save the art, and I in turn save time again. And also a big one for digital is the ability to save this stuff in a single PDF document for your comics. I use Manga Studio to do my illustration. I know I'm showing you this all in Photoshop, which I use traditionally for my digital painting, which I'll get to that in a second. But I use Manga Studio, and I can output all this to a single PDF. It's great. I mean, you can upload it and do your digital comics. Mine's on Indie Planet, so it's a really great way to be able to, you know, keep all your files collectively into one document, and then utilize that. So that's a really great thing about digital. Um, and I think I mentioned cheaper overall. You're going to have the initial cost of buying your device and running some electricity, but these things are really bulletproof. I've actually, um, given away old Wacoms to art buddies. So it's like they really do just last and last. So I think overall your cost is down with digital. And the ability to digitally paint. This is a digital painting I did. It probably took me about 3 hours. I used a soft brush method and pretty much the entire thing. I think I used a little bit of hard brush in the hairlines there, and that's it. So, I mean, for a 3 hour digital paint, I was pretty happy with it. So, and that's something before I couldn't have done. Like, I would have, airbrushed this maybe, or I would have painted it with some acrylics or something like that. But I'm not that strong of a painter where I could have got this kind of a result, and definitely not in 3 hours. So that's another big one with digital. You're going to be able to digitally paint, do some really cool things, and I like doing both. I like digitally painting and doing my comic book illustrations, so it works out really well for me there. So yeah, that's probably about it. If you got any, you know, questions or comments, please drop them in the section below. Let me know what you think of this video. Please like, subscribe, share. Helps me keep progressing the channel. And yeah, check back each week for new videos. And hopefully this has been fun and informative. Talk to you soon. Take care. Keep drawing. Keep having fun. Bye bye.